Why hello there, welcome back to the AgostinhoZinga show with me, your host AgostinhoZinga, and this is episode number 508 with your host AgostinhoZinga. This is the AgostinhoZinga show, episode number 508. How you doing? How you feeling? Great, amazing. How am I? Doing the best I can with the time I have available, putting one foot in front of the other and making sure I breathe in through my nostrils and out through my mouth like a bloody G. If it's your first time checking the show via YouTube, you know what to do. Smash that like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment down below. If you're listening via the podcasting apps, the various apps that exist out there, please leave me a 5, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, 0-star review. I do not care. Get that algorithm up there. Let people know that you're engaging with the show in any way. If you think I'm annoying, if you think I'm good, if you think I'm bad, if you think I'm good or whatever that word is, right? Is that the way to go? Regardless, leave me a review. I'll be more than grateful for that. I've seen a few on there already, so for those of you who have left me a review, I really appreciate it, especially those who have gone above and beyond and left me a 5, which I definitely don't think I deserve, but thank you regardless. And of course, support via patrons. Welcome to at patreon.com/Agostinho. You find on there bonus content upload there usually every single week, so definitely make sure you check that out at patreon.com/Agostinho for bonus content. Only $1, only £1 per month. Get involved. Don't be stingy. Support the guy, support the kid. I'm not really a kid, but I like to call myself one. Just keep doing the thing and I'll be much appreciated either way. But yeah, here we are back again, the AgostinhoZinga show, reporting to you live from an undisclosed location. Hope you are doing well wherever you may be. I am sipping on some chilled mint tea at the moment because of course it's still sober October. We're in the 3rd week, approaching the home stretch, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling constant. I'm feeling clear-minded. I'm feeling tactile. I'm feeling limber. I'm feeling mentally and somewhat mentally stimulated. So I'm ready and raring to go. So far it's been pretty decent. Again, I've been amping up the running. Tomorrow's going to be the real test when I go gym and do back squats, deadlifts and presses, whether or not my body dies on me, but I should be okay. And then the Wednesday, again, I then continue on doing the running. So I'm going to be doing, running running for a 6-day program, stress sort of thing, and then I'm going to see how I feel on the Sunday, and then rinse and repeat again the following week, and then rinse and repeat again the following week, and then rinse and repeat again the following week until I get to the level that I need to be, aka Rick Owens frame, right? Because this is why I'm doing it. Only doing it to make sure I fit into trendy clothes so I can go out raving, stay up until late hours of the night, come back and still be okay, right? That's what I want to get. I want to lose weight to get to a point where it was before, where I can afford to have a little cheeky double sausage, egg McMuffin, and a couple of hash browns on the way home, and it's not going to make that much of a difference. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, you have to get to that level first to kind of allow you the luxury and the room to kind of be able to maneuver and to have those kind of liberties that you can take. I mean, you have to kind of work for them. So that's where I'm currently trying to get at. So hopefully, small steps, incremental movements towards my goals, breaking them down into bite-sized chunks, digestible chunks, I'll be able to get what I need to get. Oh, got a bit of mint there. See that? Put it right back in there. Sorry about that, brothers and sisters. Got too much mint in the mouth. But anyway, who says that really, innit? I got too much mint in my mouth. It's not really a thing you hear too commonly on podcasts, but hey, here I am providing you with fresh and new bits. So, what are we going to talk about first of all? Number one thing to talk about, obviously off the back of it because it's just happened, is the Apple Unleashed event, which just happened a few hours ago. And obviously there's a couple of products on there that I am uniquely and specifically going to be interested in. So as you can see, it's courtesy of The Verge. It says 8 of the biggest announcements on Apple's Unleashed event. It says Apple has just finished its October 2021 event, which was full of news and announcements from the company, including the long-awaited M1 equipped MacBook Pros. There was a whole lot of news, so here if you want to call up. So first of all, the MacBook Pros, of course, the thing I'm most interested in, and specifically, right? The design looks beautiful. I love how they got the little raised rubber bits at the bottom, so you can obviously keep them on your desk. I love the kind of sort of near as they can get an edge to edge screen, kind of taking inspiration from the iMac and how they redesigned that. And I also like the fact that they got rid of the touch bar. Just over the moon about that. So it continues here. It says Apple revealed a brand new set of MacBook Pros available in the 14 and 16-inch models. First time they've done that, right? The touch bar is gone, replaced with a full size function now. Many ports are back. There's a HDMI port, which is amazing, 3 fundable ports, and an SD card slot, and a headphone jack, and a return of the MagSafe charger. So all the things that they kind of got rid of in the previous laptops, thinking that they were going to move things to a different direction, they got rid of the MagSafe, which I'd never really understood why. It's legitimately one of the best inventions Apple's ever done, especially if you're somebody who kind of sometimes has your MacBook charging in weird places under a cushion or something, and you forget it's there and you trip over the wire. And the fact that it can kind of just fling off and clip off without bringing your laptop down with you has probably saved many people's computers. I know it saved mine. So them getting rid of it never really made much sense to me in that regard, but maybe the cells inside it or whatever, there's something probably they wanted to kind of move away from. Maybe it was too expensive to produce, I'm not sure why, but I'm glad they brought that back. The ports, most people who buy MacBook Pros from what I've seen, because obviously Apple have introduced stuff like bigger iPhones and iPads, and MacBook Airs are pretty much fairly affordable for most people. If you want to buy an Apple, of course, considering compared to other laptops, they're still not that cheap, but you're obviously buying the quality and the brand name and all that malarkey. But from what I've understood, most people that use MacBook Pros use them for actual pro use, whether it's audio editing, visuals editing, whatever it may be. There's some sort of pro use they use them for, and most of these guys and girls need those ports, HDMI ports to plug into external monitors, SD cards, so you can kind of upload, or you can export or import stuff from your card, whatever it may be. But they do use those ports on a regular basis. So to live in a life where you had to kind of buy external dongles that were super ugly, I think maybe I would love it if the decision to bring back the ports was mostly an aesthetic reason, right? Like that someone at Apple, the designers, just looked at it and thought, you know what, this just looks horrible. Saw one of his colleagues in a coffee shop using a really brand new, amazing MacBook Pro, and they've got this really crap Belkin flipping adapter plugged into it with all this little different ports. It just doesn't look that great. Maybe I'm hoping that's the case. And the fact that they brought the ports back is definitely a step in the right direction, I think, going forward. And then, of course, they've got the new MacBook Pros. The chip's already there. What's that? Promotion and mini LED comes to the MacBook Pros. Apple's new MacBook Pros use the company's adaptive refresh rate technology. Promotion topping up to okay. MagSafe has returned to the MacBook Pros. That's true. Apple's next generation AirPods, spatial audio, and the HomePod Mini. But anyway, let's look at the Pros itself. Right, the MacBook Pro still looks fucking, in my opinion, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Right, supercharged for pros. The most powerful MacBook Pro ever is here with a blazing fast M1 Pro or M1 Max chip, the first Apple silicon design for pros. You get groundbreaking performance and amazing battery life. Add to that a stunning liquid retina XDR display, the best camera and audio ever in a Mac notebook, and the ports you need, and the first notebook of its kind. Yes, supposedly they finally updated the flipping camera to a 1080p, so if you're going to be using stuff like Discord or Skype or Zoom or whatnot, you can finally have a pretty decent quality of camera. Don't get me wrong, my camera isn't the greatest, but mostly because my computer can't handle 1080p recording or streaming. But for the most part, the cameras on MacBooks are fairly crap, especially when you consider how stacked the actual motherboard is in terms of its specs and stuff. To have a very mediocre camera, especially again with the developments they've been able to make with the iPhone, you just would have expected the camera on the actual laptop to be a little bit better. But it's always been an afterthought. But suddenly, maybe because of the changing landscapes of employment at the moment and people who have office jobs, relying on their cameras a lot more than they did maybe in the past, the introduction of that camera is really, really good. So I'm happy about that. The price isn't too shabby from especially in the UK, $1,899, available from the 26th, so next week. But it does look absolutely gorgeous. Let's not deny that. Like, just, as an actual piece of tech, right? It just looks really, really good. And that's the one thing that I think so far the other companies haven't been able to kind of steal a march on. Yes, they might be able to beat Apple in pricing. Anyone can really, because the pricing is pretty obscene, let's be honest. But when it comes to just beautiful design and actually be able to make something that everyone can kind of be a fan of and think is going to look great in their office, in their living room, under their armpit, in a bag somewhere, right? It just looks great. It just does look really, really great. Here's obviously the extension with the ports you see there. Great to see. The M1 chip, Pro to the max. The M1 and Pro, M1 Max scale, the amazing M1 architecture to new heights. For the first time, they bring a chip system on a chip architecture to a Pro notebook. Both have more CPU cores, more GPU cores, more unified memory than an M1, along with the powerful neural engine for supercharged machine learning and upgraded media engines. With ProRes support, M1 Pro, the M1 Max allows pros to do things they never could before, so that's awesome. I'm assuming you can run loads of apps at the same time and do crazy amounts of stuff on iMovie, GarageBand, and all those other apps that exist on there that use a lot of the GPU and whatnot. We continue here. Obviously, my computer doesn't use that much to create GPU. Scarily fast, up to 64GB unified memory. Boom, 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 boom. Good shit. Choose your size, choose your chip, let it rip. Of course, continue on. We can do this all day. Really, we can do this all day. Focus performance with game-changing battery life. The efficiency of the magic of the Apple Silicon. The single charge lets you compile up to 4 times as much code in Xcode, or edit images twice as long in Lightroom Classics. Unlike other notebooks, MacBook Pro delivers the same amazing performance whether it's unplugged or not. So supposed to be up to 17 hours of video playback on one charge and up to 11 hours of wireless browsing on charge. But again, that's going to be dependent on how you use the computer completely, and it obviously bumps up a little bit on the 16 model, which makes sense because it's bigger, so they can probably fit more battery in it. The coolest part, an advanced thermal system, move 50% of air, lower fan speed thanks to the efficiency of Apple Silicon. Cool. Feature eyes on XDR. The screen looks magical, absolutely beautiful. There we continue. Heads up, we've got camera 1080p HD, so finally step into the right direction. Staying connected is more important than ever. That's why the new MacBook, everyone's got this sort of line in it. Staying connected is more important. Everyone's got this sort of line, right? In this ever-changing world, in this new normal, copywriters must love this phrase, and it's such a phrase that's been overused, I think. Anyway, that's why the new MacBook Pro camera has a double the resolution 1080p and uses a lens with a wider aperture that lets in more light, which will hopefully make the camera with the quality of the video of the shot itself look better, together with the larger image sensor that has more efficient pixels and camera delivers 2 times better light performance. Great little clip there. Somebody used GarageBand and it using the camera in the background too, so loads of collaboration, more plugged than ever. Transfer photos, videos with the XCDR card reader, connected to TVs or displays, the HDMI output. Listen using the 3.5 headphone jack. So they got rid of the headphone jack on the iPhone, but you got one on a laptop. I don't understand, but anyway, we continue. Connect to the high-speed peripherals or displays with 3 Thunderbolt ports and fast changing using the quick releasing MagSafe ports. Because that's the only thing that's horrible too on the iPhone. You got that little dongle to plug in your headphones. It's so butters, but hey, at least you have it on your laptop. Again, I love the little raised bumps here with on the bottom of the laptop. MagSafe is back. More power, more. Hey, and again, this is the thing I liked. Pro Power meets Pro Keyboard. For the first time, Magic Keyboard brings a full height function key row for the MacBook Pro with a tactile feel and the mechanical keys that pros love. It includes new keyboard shortcuts for Spotlight, Siri, dictation, do not disturb, and Touch ID has a new tactile ring that guides you your finger through the easy and secure way. So that strip that they were kind of promoting that's going to be a big deal, they finally got rid of it because it was fucking shit. And now they've just got a beautiful mechanical keyboard that actually feels great to type on, it looks like, by the sounds of it. And they've got a little fingerprint scanner there just to continue doing the thing with which they obviously took away from the iPhone, which I've never understood, because I much prefer the fingerprint scanner than the Face ID. I'm not having my face unlock my phone, that's why I haven't got it on my phone at the moment. But the introduction of the mechanical keyboard and the removal of the strip is just such a great thing to go for. I'm really, really glad that that's there. But yeah, great so far. Obviously it's going to be very, very popular, I think, for most people going forward. I think for myself, once I obviously fix my 2017, I think MacBook Pro, I definitely will be in a position to maybe look at, thinking of maybe retiring the Air that I'm using to record this podcast on, and maybe getting a new Pro, and then maybe kind of having, or maybe selling this actually, the Pro that I've got, because it's got a CD drive and it's pretty heavy, and then upgrading it to this because I don't need a CD drive anymore, because I purposely purchased that at the time. I think at the time it was kind of brand new. It was a one that came out. Yeah, I did a kind of purchase it brand new because I purposely got it because it had a CD drive in it, because at the time I was DJing and I need to burn CDs, so it seemed like the logical thing to get, and it performed really well. It was pretty sturdy. I just need to get it edited, or get it upgraded and put a solid state hard drive in it, and then obviously buy a new charger, and it should be back to good. But it's pretty much bulletproof, and the best thing I love about it is the keyboard. The keyboard on that MacBook Pro is absolutely gorgeous, man. Really, 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 really good. So looking forward to seeing this in hand. Obviously popping into the Apple store locally to see maybe what it looks like in person, but I'm sure it's gonna look gorgeous. Continuing on. Oh god, so much mint in my mouth. Oh, I'll chew it. So what do we have here? What's next? Sorry, got too much mint in my mouth. Yuck. Anyway, continuing on. We've got this article courtesy of BBC News. It says Matt Hancock's United Nations role withdrawn, right? And it was kind of funny on the timeline seeing people kind of mock him for it. But it also made me think about his kind of maybe lack of understanding, or the team around him, of his kind of reputation and how he's viewed by the British public. And maybe with what I've seen recently, with this account that's supposedly meant to be him, where he basically tweets the most random stuff. I think the other day he was talking about the UFC and Jules St. Pierre and stuff, and it's just like, what? But regardless, I think that's a step in the right direction. I think people like Matt Hancock need to realize how much of a villain they are in the British press and in the in the collective consciousness of the British public, and just kind of lean into it. If one thing I've learned over the years of kind of analyzing people on social media who have been really successful, is the ones who kind of divide opinion, for the most part, know they do, and they just lean into it. When you have this weird idea in your head that whatever impression people have of you is somehow incorrect, and you need to rewrite the narrative, and I'm actually a good guy, that's when you lose, because people are pretty much never going to change their mind about you. Once the social media, once internet, or once people online decide you are a bad person, you're a bad person. So if that's the case, lean into it, use it to advantage, exploit the hell out of it, and then go from there. But trying to get a role at the United Nations, and then also using saying that's a good thing to kind of maybe rehabilitate your image, is never going to work, because if anything, those people went ahead, put the pressure on maybe United Nations, internally, externally, whatever it may be, to a point where they found some sort of loophole that they could basically fire him for. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, before I read the article, the loophole was something like, they gave him the role, but the reason why he couldn't get the role because he's still quote unquote an acting MP or something, right? He has to kind of renege his MP role in order to work for United Nations, which is kind of odd. But hey, we'll continue. So former Health Secretary Matt Hancock, it says here, has had a job offer from the United Nations withdrawn. Mr. Hancock announced this week that he had been given a role helping Africa's economy recover from COVID. Bruv, the United Nations just give jobs to anybody, innit? What does this motherfucker know about recovering an economy in Africa? What time has he spent there? What do you know about recovering economies in the first place? You know what I mean? It's just an absolute bullshit thing. It's like that quote from Kanye, innit? I love Lady Gaga. She got some good songs. What the fuck does she know about cameras? Regarding the news of her becoming creative director of Kodak. It's like some bullshit. Mr. Hancock announced this week that he's been given a role helping the Africa Third. The UN said it would bring a valuable experience, but Hancock now says a rule has come to light that prevents him from taking the job. Leading figures from across the UK, Africa and UK parties have criticised the UN's choice of the MP for the role. On Tuesday, the former health secretary tweeted a copy of the letter offering him the unpaid role. He was congratulated by the former cabinet colleagues, including Foreign Secretary Liz Truss, Housing Secretary Michael Gove, and Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries. So what happens when you become an MP? Do you earn a salary for life? So he essentially got fired from his role, or he resigned. What does he do now for money? He's still an MP, but then he's able to take an unpaid job with the United Nations. Or is it one of those unpaid jobs and you get paid for like consulting or whatever? You get paid in talks. I wonder if it's one of those ones. But the West Suffolk MP faced backlash from critics on social media who pointed out the fact that the highly critical report from the MPs on the UK government handling of the pandemic had been released on the same day. Mr. Hancock, exactly. He gets basically, for the most part, even his staunchest supporters will say he didn't do the best of job with the pandemic. But now he's been led. We're led to believe he's the best person to kind of lead the economic recovery of Africa outside of COVID. It's like, come on, man. Mr. Hancock's new role came 4 months after he resigned from the cabinet post following the breaking of social distancing guidelines by kissing a colleague. He had been planning to continue as a Conservative MP while working as a UN Special Representative on a financial innovation and climate change for the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. The UN has now told him the appointment is not being taken forward. Mr. Hancock said he had been honoured to be approached by the UN, but he later wrote to him explained the UN had rule has subsequently come to light. He added, subsequently come to light. I mean, that's when you know what, right? I've said it before, but in general in life, it's far better to just be told. Like the other day, I think I mentioned it, or I mentioned maybe on another podcast that maybe it was on social media. I saw that friendship breakups are way worse than relationship breakups, because relationship breakups are like, they are what they are, but friendship breakups are usually quite direct in there. I don't want to be your friend anymore, leave me the fuck alone. But relationship breakups, you can sometimes lie to each other, you can ghost a person. I don't know, there's things that you could do where you can kind of inoculate yourself from the actual truth. But when it comes to jobs and stuff, and even rejection, I much prefer just being told flat out that you don't meet the criteria of what we need, you're not good enough, this test that you did was shit compared to everybody else, then be told that new information come to light. We've kind of, or what some employers will say, like, oh, the business is moving in a different direction, the role is changed. I don't know, those kind of like weird lies that don't need to be told, especially if you don't know the person. I don't like that. I much prefer just to be told straight. So if he's getting his job reneged by the UN and they're saying to him subsequently some stuff has come to light, it's like, bruv, we know what going in it. We know I don't have the best reputation. You obviously took a chance on me, hoping people had forgotten. Social media blew up. It didn't forget. You didn't want the bad PR, and you just reneged on it. It is what it is. Cool, but let's not lie. He continued, since I'm committed to continuing to serve as MP of West Suffolk, this means I cannot take up the position. I look forward to supporting the UN ECA in their mission in whatever way I can in a parliamentary role. And then this is intended to be an embarrassment for the former health secretary who was looking to risk it. Yeah, cool. But the only time I remember that I had a similar sort of thing was when I applied for a role once, and I got through to this final stage. I thought I was cool. I guess I kind of read into it wrong. I don't think you should. Usually I'm a person, when it comes to jobs and stuff, I never celebrate or get too giddy until I've signed like the contract. I don't think you should ever get too excited about these kind of things, because there's always an opportunity for things to get turned around or for things to get withdrawn, and especially if I don't start as well. So you sign the contract, you have to start first, get your training under the belt, and then after that you can say, yeah, I finally got the role. So I think I got a bit too giddy off with myself, because the place that I applied for, they asked me for a reference, and they asked me for two. Usually when they ask for reference at that stage, it's usually a guarantee that you're going to get the role. They want to kind of make sure that you're not a psycho, get some kind of be able to corroborate your experiences with your CV with what your employers, basically they want to corroborate the way you presented yourself on your CV and over the phone or the interview with obviously your employer or somebody that managed you. So when they give the reference, it's kind of a good indication that you're going to get the job. So the next phone call you're going to get after the fact would be either, oh, your reference guy or girl was horrible, we're not going to give you the job because we've got our doubts about this and that, or it's like, hey, we're going to give you the role. So when I got the reference call, and then next day I'll get a call and they said, nah, we're going to go with somebody else. It's like, huh? I've never actually, I know, and then I Googled it and I found out that actually references are usually the final step I get the penultimate step, right, before you actually get given an offer. So usually what they do, if they have a short list of 5 people and they want to, maybe it's a short list of 5 people and they want to whittle it down to 3, the reference is what they give, you give them, they talk to your references, and then they use the references to break it down to 3, and then they decide to offer it to, they want to offer it to out of those 3. Do you know what I mean? That's what they did. But I thought the reference was like a sure sign you're going to get a job. And I remember that being a bit brutal, but again, it was good because it was direct. It was like, hey, we got your reference, we liked you, obviously we got you to the stage of the interview, but we just like that person better. He or she's a better fit. No problem, shake hands and you keep it moving. It's just this kind of inventions and these sort of, half truths that would make me really angry if I was Hancock, to be completely honest. But again, I still think he needs to accept the fact that he is, his reputation's in complete tatters. He's looked at as a bad guy. He maybe is a bad guy. We don't know him personally. Lean into it. Use it as a crux. Use it as something to kind of get you into the British consciousness and get yourself a media role and go that way. This kind of rehabilitation of UN is just bullshit. I'm surprised he's doing stuff like that anyway in the first place. Again, maybe he's kind of not come to grips with who he actually is. He's still kind of pretending that he is a decent person. Decent people don't do the things that he does, unfortunately, or the things that he did, unfortunately. So, that's the name of the game. That is the name of the game, and what can you do about that? And then I think I was thinking the other day, I made on the previous podcast, I spoke about how Conor McGregor had been spotted in Rome, Italy, walking around, enjoying the sights and sounds, taste and whatnot, soaking it all in, going to Gucci with his missus, surrounded by, 4 really, or 5, I think maybe, big burly security guards, right? And the Daily Mail article that I kind of reported it on had basically framed it in a way that look at this big bad UFC fighter who needs to have all these security guards to protect him from shoppers in the middle of Rome. And that's how they basically framed it. And I was like, I think the Daily Mail is a bit off here. What's actually the true interpretation of that scene is that those security guards are there to protect the crowd from Conor, not the other way around, right? Because obviously he's a flipping UFC fighter. He can legitimately beat up most people on the face of this earth, but he is also incredibly unhinged. This version of Conor McGregor, he has, for whatever reason, decided that anybody outside of the octagon that kind of speaks to him in a certain manner is going to get these hands, it's going to get these feet, it's going to get stools, it's going to get dollies, it's going to get many things, right, flung at them. And it seems like the other day in Rome was no exception, because as a follow-up to that shopping trip, look at this from TMZ. Conor McGregor allegedly attacks a DJ in Rome, a punch to the face and a broken nose. Now, I stumbled across this guy's video talking about the thing on social. I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was whatever. Then as the video goes, it's all, obviously it's silent. I'm just kind of browsing, just looking at it as I kind of hover. He's wiggled his nose and he's clearly, the cartilage here is gone. If you've broken your nose before, you would know. And I'm like, damn, he's got an actual broken nose. I put the sound on and I think, fuck. And I listen, and it's like, yeah, it's Conor McGregor did this. And I'm like, oh my days. And if I remember from the clip, he said something along the lines of, oh, he was leaving and somebody in a group said something to Conor. He misheard it and he said, yeah, let's go. And then, he got a punch in the face and he flew. And as he got up, he realized his nose was broken. It's like, God almighty, one absolute psycho. So courtesy of, let's just read the article before we read the update. So it says here, Conor McGregor allegedly got into a fight outside of an octagon. This time, another fight with a DJ claims he punched him in the face and broke his nose. Francesco Faccianti, Faccianetti, right? Faccianetti, that you say? Francesco Faccianetti, a famous DJ from Italy, says he and his wife were hanging out with Conor and his fiancée in Rome, and at around 2 a.m. on Sunday, Conor threw a punch landing on his face. Faccianetti says the attack was unprovoked. So they're actually, okay, this is what makes it even more weird, because I've heard that he was just a DJ in the club. So they were together for the majority of the day, into the early mornings. I'd assume they were known to each other, because how are you just going to meet random couples and just have drinks until the early hour? I don't know, maybe they move different, but to get to that hour of the night and then punch him in the face is mad. Faccianetti was posted a video that clearly shows the injury, says that they were all having fun early in the evening, so much so Conor invited them back to tag along to another party. It appears they didn't leave because Faccianetti says that that's when Conor threw the punch in front of 10 witnesses. The DJ says he's quick to say he's suing Conor. He says, I took a punch for nothing. That punch could go to anyone, my friends, my wife, other people. That's why I decided to sue Conor, because he's a violent and dangerous person. So now he's getting sued by this DJ. Now, what's the interpretation of it? The Patricia's wife posted what she claims went down. She says, then out of nowhere, he threw a punch in the face of Francesco. He was inviting us to another party. Francesco says, okay, let's go. He hit him. Luckily, Francesco was very close, so he couldn't load any his punches. Francesco flew back, flew on the table and then on the ground. The first thing I came to mind was, you're kidding. Is this a show? Then I was paralyzed. She then went on to say, I turned around and saw that his friends were holding him against the wall because he wanted to continue beating him. Imagine Conor wanted to continue pummeling this guy who was probably dressed head to toe in Marcelo Burlon. He probably had a couple bits of Circo Loco merch on, maybe those Burberry, those Alexander McQueen, Stan Smith ones, things stacked or whatever. Maybe he has some Balenciaga sock trainers on. Just a casual Italian dude, right? Italian DJ guy. You know how they are, right? They're fucking nice people, the nicest people, right? They know how to party, know how to eat, know how to have a good time, know how to live the high life. And if you're someone like a Conor, they will legitimately show you around and show you some of the best parts of Rome, right? They'll take you to all the places that tourists don't get to go to, all the glitzy, glamoury places that you actually have a swell time. So I can't even imagine what that person could have done or said that could have got him to that point. But he had to be held back, right? Then they took him away. I turned to the light. I turned on the light and the guards turned them off, of course, so no one would see, no one would video. Francesco was bleeding. I went to help him and the guards chased us away. He will stay in Italy until October 26th. If you see him, stay away from him. Do not go near him and ask for autographs because he is unstable and a dangerous person. Connor's had numerous incidents. Now, let's hypothesize about what happened, right? Because to be completely honest, I've watched too many public freak out videos. I'm obsessed with that subreddit. It's one of the best in the world, public freak outs, right? And I know people love to kind of frame stuff that happens to them in a way that always makes them out to be the victim, right? It's just a standard thing that people always do in these kind of instances. So they'll start an argument with somebody, they'll say some really horrible things to that person, they might even physically attack them, and then the moment that person tries to retaliate, that's when they start to record. So then when we see it on video, so when we see it on social media, it always looks like that person who's recording is a damsel in distress. Oh my god, I can't believe you hit me unprovoked. But then you didn't see the other half of the video where that person insulted that person's child, spat in their face, did something that would obviously provoke them to the point to get to that, to that level of anger or that level of physical violence or whatnot. So for Conor to be with these people from the evening to the early hours of the morning, to invite them back to another party somewhere with his wife, right? Because I imagine, to get Conor to go somewhere is probably easy, but when he's with his missus, he's probably a little bit protective about who's around and whatnot. Cool. So he invites them back. They're probably gonna, do a couple bumps off a nice marble table somewhere. So all good. No shame in the game that way. So for him to get to that point, and then I think they said they were leaving, so they're on their way out, and then get to punch him in the face. Something happened in between. So I'm hypothesizing that maybe at the dinner table, this guy was getting lippy, saying some things that Conor didn't take well, and maybe in his kind of the language barrier thing existed where they didn't really understand each other, and maybe Conor was like, yeah, all right, cool, let's go outside then, or something like that, right? And then the guy went outside, yeah, let's go, and then Conor thought, oh, he wants to go, and he punched him in the face. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm interpreting it. Like he said something to Conor on the table that he didn't like, and then in that exchange he offered him outside. The guy interpreted it as we're going to the next party, and then he got dicks in the face. That's what I think, because I can't imagine somebody inviting you to an afters and then he's telling you, yeah, it's that way, and then you elbow them in the face, or then you guillotine them. It doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Imagine, so out of order. So I don't think that's the case. I think something definitely happened that would have provoked him to that point. I would hope so, because I don't want to imagine him just kind of wailing on people unless unprovoked. Because even that fight with the old guy in the pub, yeah, he shouldn't have done it, of course, but the guy did say they did get in a verbal altercation, right? Whether it was because of the whiskey or whatnot, what story you believe, but they did get into an argument. It wasn't like he was just sitting there minding his business and then he just punched him in the back of the head. Obviously that was a cowardly part of it, but they did have a argument. That's what kind of led to the fight. So I'm sure something happened, I'm sure. But let's read the update anyway from TMZ. It says here, they sent judges in Rome where the alleged incident went down. Tells TMZ Sport they're investigating the incident and they intend to comply with the cops. We will offer them full support in this investigation. The safety and security of our guests and employees is our first priority. Yo, I don't know what's going on with Conor, man. I really don't. I asked a question the other day on my socials. Is Conor McGregor the black John Jones, or is John Jones the black Conor McGregor? Because these two guys are doing everything they can outside of the octagon to kind of jeopardize their legacy in the sport. They don't seem to care that much, and they seem to be very unhinged, more so in public than they seem to be in the octagon, which is really strange, isn't it? You would think you'd be a little bit more reckless and a little bit more wild and animalistic in the octagon, because you kind of have to turn that on in your head to fight another guy in your underwear in a cage. But it seems like when they go outdoors and they're surrounded by civilians who they could probably kill with their bare hands, they decide to still keep that switch on, or it's, if anything, turn it up a notch, which is to me very, very odd. But hey, I don't know what pressures he's dealing with. Again, like I said, it's probably more to the story than meets the eye. I would imagine so, because it just sounds so unreasonable. It just sounds so weird. Do you know what I mean? It really does. But hey, what can you do? Next on the list, I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to really give some praise and some props to this Matt Reeves, soon to come, directed The Batman, starring the one Robert Pattison, right? The trailer is absolutely amazing, and I think, just for the sake of this podcast and to kind of give praise again to good art, because I think for all the stuff that I watch online that talks about the fandom menace, and the fact that these studios don't kind of use the source materials of comics as a way to kind of make good series and movies and whatnot, there's way too much of it nowadays. When you finally do get a good adaptation of a superhero such as Batman, especially with the amount of layers that he has and the introspective stuff they could do with it, it's just deserves props that they actually did a good job, judging by the trailer. Of course, the trailer looks fantastic. Let's not mince our words in that way. It looks utterly brilliant. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to have some other glorious words to kind of attach to the side of this when I come on from it from the other end.
Police! Hands up! Stay still! Get out of here!
The Riddler. Oh yes.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call.
Oh, come on.
It's a warning.
That line, man. Come on. The armor looks amazing.
I've been trying to reach you.
It's filmed like a thriller.
This is a powder keg, and Riddler's the match.
I can take care of myself.
Catwoman, Kravitz looking
It
amazing.
won't be long before you've nothingness.
Penguin.
I don't care what happens to me.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Whoa! Take it easy,
Oh,
sweetheart.
so good. The Ice Lounge, look at it walking through. So amazing, man. Such just like the comics.
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you?
Waiting for
when
the
you're
sun
there?
to set. Oh, look how good this looks, man. I love these sort of scenes. The gun flashes go off inside the dark room. This scene's gonna be amazing to watch in the cinema.
What's black and blue and dead all over?
Scars in the back.
I got you! I got you!
Boots. Look at he's wearing a pair of New Rocks and straight to the Bergs. Unfortunately, we got to wait until March the 4th, 2022 to watch it, but god damn, it looks absolutely amazing, man. And again, like I said, there's too much, or there's a lot to be said for, again, bad adaptations or interpretations of comic book movies in general, or comic book series in general, right? TV studios, they do what they want with them, especially nowadays. There's too much politics attached to them, too much woke politics attached to them, too much representation and diversity just for the sake of it, right? That doesn't really add to the story. So when you see something that's being done justice in some way, shape or form, it does need to be praised, especially with the with the kind of style they're going for, this kind of dark early part of Batman's history, where he's kind of coming to grips with what it means to be Batman, Obviously in the city of Gotham, crime ridden. It seems like everything that he does, there's not real much difference that he's kind of adding to the city, and overall it's kind of doomed to failure. Corruption abounds, and here he is, a one man basically, right, with no real superpowers, trying to keep criminals in check in some way, shape or form, while also dealing with his own demons. And the other thing, again, a slight thing I wanted to touch on, I think is great little detail, is this: they decided for some reason to keep the eye makeup on underneath when he takes off his mask, which we don't necessarily see in other Batman series, right, or movies specifically, right? When he takes off his mask, his kind of face is completely clear, but he's obviously got some makeup on that he does underneath his eyelids, and it just looks incredible. It looks really, really, really good. It looks so sinister. And again, Robert Pattison is a really underrated actor. I think, again, unfortunately, he got a bad start to this film because of the early stories or the early leaks coming out that he didn't want to work out and add muscle. His voice wasn't that great in terms of the Batman voice he put on, but so far from what I've seen, I'm okay with how he looks in the suit. I think the suit buffs him up as much as it needs to be. I think his voice is fairly accurate, and again, he's just a supremely talented actor. I think he won me over with his roles in Inception and The Lighthouse, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job as a younger version of Batman. And again, I think maybe it's an odd thing to say, but I think he just looks more... He kind of is a great Batman in the same way that a thingamajig, what's his name was, in the other ones, my name escapes me, right? He's a far better Batman than a Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is probably too big of a star of an actor to kind of let the Batman character kind of come to the forth. Whenever you see Ben Affleck dressed up as Batman, you just see Ben Affleck in dress up. You don't really think of the Batman, right? Or you don't think of Batman in general, you just think of him. So maybe with Robert Pattinson's ability to kind of, allow the act or the character he's playing to kind of come to the forefront more than him as a person, that's probably why he's a better person to kind of play that role overall. But I'm really looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. It looks already like a great adaptation. It's supposedly going to be 3 hours long. It's a kind of noir kind of basis film. I think if it's successful, we'll probably definitely see a sequel coming up very soon. Some of these shots already are going to be looking iconic, right? It just looks absolutely incredible. He's going to be wrestling, of course, with the idea. He's going to be wrestling with whether or not some people are irredeemable, right? That kind of philosophical argument is going to come up a lot. He's probably going to get close to the point of killing somebody. There's going to be a lot of violence. There's going to be a lot of violence, I feel like. He's going to get broken up and built back up again, right? But I really, really, really cannot wait. Yeah, obviously Christian Bale was a really good Batman. He, again, was an actor that he was able to kind of let the Batman, even Bruce Wayne character, come to the forefront and let him as a person come to the back. But unfortunately, people like Ben Affleck they're just too big of a star, too big of a actor to kind of play a role like this and do it justice in any way, shape or form. So I'm really, really excited to see it. I honestly cannot wait. I love the color tones and the coloring they're using with this black and red. I forgot what comic it came out that was similar to this, but there is someone that is obviously done this before. I forgot what graphic novel it was. It came out recently. It's not the one I watched recently of Batman was The Long Halloween. That was really good, but it wasn't that. It was something else that I watched that I thought was really accurate. But yeah, really can't wait for this to come out. March 4th, 2022. The Batman. It's going to be absolutely sensational, and I think Robert Pattinson is going to do a brilliant job. I really, really do. I'm not doubting that in the slightest. What else do we want to talk about now? Let's move on. Let's talk about this briefly. So it seems, just not briefly, was it the other day or a few days ago, Lizzo went out to Cardi B's birthday party, and she decided to wear an outfit that didn't do her body or figure any sort of justice, really. Not because she's fat, just because it just didn't look that great. But considering the party was a kind of bashment themed, Caribbean daggering festival, maybe this outfit did kind of lend itself to that, but it could have been done a little bit better. And obviously people on the internet, because she was wearing something see-through and sheer, they kind of immediately went to Rihanna's outfit and kind of compared the two, when obviously they don't, especially contextually where they were going, body types and who they are as artists, it didn't really make much sense. But they opened up an argument around the idea that just because you're fat doesn't mean you can't wear certain things, and the only reason why people are kind of criticizing Lizzo was because she's just a bigger girl, and because Rihanna is slimmer and obviously maybe more appealing to the eye, people don't really have much of a problem with her. And I don't necessarily agree with that. like I said, I think the major issue with it was the fact that it just wasn't flattering what Lizzo was wearing. It just didn't look that great, especially with her walking down the street with no shoes on, right? It just looked a bit yucky. It just didn't look that great. You have to be, let's be completely honest, it just doesn't look that nice. Doesn't look that chic whatsoever. But again, considering where she's going, you don't need to be chic going to a bashment party. You just need to be able to be in an outfit that would, you know, allow somebody to cross the room and try and dagger you, right? That's basically what you're wearing your outfit for. It's a daggering beacon to some extent, but it does offer up an interesting conversation around people's lack of honesty in general when it comes to body image, or when it comes to body shape, or when it comes to be able to wear certain clothes. Like I said before, I have gone up and down in weight over the years, you know, many times. My biggest, I was like 280 pounds, which is maybe 17 stone or something, right? And then my smallest, I was like 180 pounds, which is like 13 stone or something stupid like that, right? Crazy amounts, right? I've fluctuated up and down. And at the moment, I'm about 260, 255, and I'm trying to get down to a 220 by the end of the year. So that's why I think I can kind of hold my weight and kind of be stable at that. And most of the reason why I did it is because I want to fit into cool fashion clothes. Obviously, if you know my podcast, you know that I'm obviously very much interested in streetwear, in fashion, and something I've kind of been interested in from the entirety of my life. And the brands and stuff that I'm interested in, unfortunately, you have to be of a certain size. You just can't wear them if you're a bigger size. It just is what it is. So because of that, I've always kind of had that in my head. I've always wanted to look good in clothes. I like to look good in clothes. I like to look good somewhat semi-naked. So that's the point I kind of try to work out with. And the unfortunate part of it is that for whatever reason, whether it's kind of, you know, stuff that's ingrained in us or whatever it may be, there's no denying that certain clothes or certain styles of fashion look better on certain people than they look on other people, shape wise, height wise, skin color, whatever, right? It's like cobalt blue on a darker skin such as I, it looks amazing. Red on my skin looks amazing. Green on my skin looks amazing. Even a white looks amazing. But if you're super pale, maybe wearing all white isn't the best thing. So there is clearly things that we see with our eyes that we know is true. But for whatever reason, we tend to kind of twist the truth when it comes to body size, or when it comes to fatness, when it comes to slimness, skinny, whatever it may be. We just kind of change the fact. And there's no denying, especially when it comes to a Lizzo character as well, who's probably the most frustrating part of it, because I don't even get the feeling that she's like a kind of confident bigger girl who's happy being the way she is. I always get the feeling that she's kind of lying to herself, and effectively she really wants to be skinny, really wants to be slim, but obviously doesn't have the, I wouldn't say the willpower or whatever, something to basically do it, because it does require a lot of work to go from the size that she is and to get anywhere near where Rihanna was here, where she's not at the moment. She's obviously, this is probably her at maybe one of her slimmest. It does require a lot of work, and it's not something everyone can do. And sometimes genetic wise, it's just not something that's even in your future, right? There's just certain parts of your body are always going to be big. It's what it is, but it's just difficult to do. And I think because it's difficult to do, most people, I feel like, make the excuses and then try to adopt the, I'm going to be part of the fat acceptance movement, just so they can kind of come to some sort of I guess safe place, or a place where they're not, you know, getting under such mental anguish about the state that they're in. Because again, it can take a toll on you when you're a bigger person and you're finding it just hard to navigate around the world. Stuff doesn't fit you. You just feel ugly, right? I can, especially for a female as well, right? You're not really getting the attention that you think you should be getting. All this sort of stuff can definitely play tricks on your brain. So I can understand why you'd want to, if you're a bigger person, decide, hey, let me just adopt this. I'm going to fight for the, you know, representation, and I'm going to fight for the rights. I'm going to fight for the, you know, respect of people who are bigger, and use that as my kind of calling card. But there are people who do it authentically, who do it authentically, and there are people I think who do it as a kind of a charlatan thing, and as soon as they kind of get fit and lose weight, they suddenly kind of put that stuff to the side, which I've never got. Same way how I don't get how, for whatever reason, people like Jamil are like, you know, advocates for, like, I don't know, what's that thing she advocates or something? It's body acceptance as well, right? It's just odd why there's models and fitness experts and influencers who are fat acceptance ambassadors too. I just don't understand that, right? Whatever, because you got a six-pack. Why should we listen to you, right? Doesn't make any sense. But with Lizzo, I feel like she is someone in denial. She definitely isn't as happy as she kind of pretends to be big as she is, because it feels like whenever people point out how big she is, she immediately gets really upset and angry. And I think that if you are really happy about happy in the size that you are, people's words about what you look like in certain clothing or certain fashion won't really bother you that much, because if anything, you use that as an opportunity to tell people that, hey, this is why I wear the stuff that I wear, so people can come to a point of understanding and acceptance that the people that look like me can also look this way, can also look sexy, whatever it may be, right? That's what you'd use that opportunity was. You wouldn't use the opportunity to cry and to complain and to kind of make it all about you and your health and your mental health. It just feels to me really manipulative, almost gaslighting in a way, right? Because you know what the reaction is going to be like when you go out somewhere wearing what you're wearing, right? And you want to cause a controversy, and then as soon as it doesn't go your way or doesn't necessarily get the reaction you want, you start to cry a foul. And she did, obviously, off the back of this, decide to go on Instagram Live and kind of cry about the situation. She said something that I thought was really batshit crazy, but this is what she said in this clip.
Let me just get into why I'm a little heated. People are upset because I wore a fucking see-through dress to Cardi B's birthday. First of all, happy birthday, Cardi B. I got to hug her and say happy birthday. I had social anxiety, so I left pretty quickly.
Are you insane? So now, not only is she a fact acceptance movement person, she also has social anxiety. Are you for real? This is what you're telling me. You're trying to tell me Lizzo, the person that does everything but release music to call attention, is now somebody that has social anxiety? Really? These people are insane, people like this. Really insane. The ones who want to have every single victim card in their back pocket that they can pull out when things don't go well for them. But then they don't want to do the one thing that they've been put on this earth to do, which is create art and make meaningful music. She's got a heavenly voice. She's got a talent for performing on stage. Regardless of her size, she's a great performer. She can play instruments, but she doesn't release music. Like, music is like so scarce with Lizzo. It's always crying and complaining about body image and stuff that, again, that she's doing herself to court controversy or to court attention. And then when it doesn't go her way, she starts to cry and complain. And now, because it's got to a point where, you know, the criticism may be touching home, she starts to pull out the social anxiety card. I've got social anxiety, don't be mean to me. Are you insane? Social anxiety, this is what you want to go with? Come on, man, give us a break.
But it was fun as fuck in those minutes that I was there. I don't go out often because, you know, I'm scared of everything. But I left my house for Cardi, and I wore a see-through outfit. I'm not reading the comments specifically because I really don't have time to
Yeah, you have read the comments. Let's not lie to. Let's not pretend. Why do celebrities do this? Or people of notoriety, why do they do this? You have two options if you're somebody, somewhat of a public figure. Two. One, you do the Joe Rogan approach and you definitely just don't read comments. And I think he doesn't, personally. I think if anything, he has people in his team who maybe let him know what people are thinking if it's a controversial topic. Like, for instance, the Jack Dorsey one, right? Or some interviews that he's done where he's not said the right thing and he's cleared it up later on. He also somebody in his team that maybe reports back on stuff, and maybe if stuff is really crazy, he can kind of respond to it. But he's not going through the comments and reading them, so you do it that way. Or you do the other approach where you read the comments, but you then kind of make it lighthearted. You maybe reply to a few, you maybe include some in your show, whatever it may be, but you just leave the comments to be what it is, because there is never going to be a world, I don't think, unless we kind of have a society or a world that we live in where you're having to scan your passport in order for you to open a social media account. But it's never going to exist a place or a time in the world, I don't think, in the future, where people are going to be civil or they're going to be somewhat nice to you on the internet in the comments. They're never going to be that way, especially when it comes to hot button topics, because they don't know you, they're on their keyboards, there's a distance there, and you can basically say the most flagrant shit you want with no real repercussions. That's what it's basically there for. If that's the case, there's no way to kind of create a safe space for you to exist on social media unless you private your page, you create your own platform, you vet everyone that comes on. There's things that you could do, obviously, but it requires work. But if you want to just stay on these free apps that everyone else uses, yeah, in the kind of, you know, it's basically the equivalent of the town square, you have to accept and be okay with people shouting crazy shit at you as you walk through and get your flipping fruits in the morning. Do you know what I mean? It just is what it is. I don't think that should be the case of like, oh, I don't read comments and it could just upset mental health. It's like, if it's going to upset your mental health that much, don't have it in social media. turn off the comments in general. There are things you can do to kind of prevent those things, but they don't, because they like the engagement. Because if they turn off the comments, the engagement, basically takes a nosedive, and no one checks your content anymore. Because part of the reason why they come to your page in the first place is to kind of get into the debate, because essentially your platform is weirdly like a little forum, right? People get to talk about stuff in your comments, reply back to people, So that's basically the case. So the fact that she's using this position again is just insane. But again, I think Lizzo's one of the biggest victims that exists out there. She loves it all, except for releasing the music.
Bring my vibration down with, negativity. But it's very funny to me that people are upset that I am wearing a see-through outfit, or that I'm twerking in a see-through outfit. Like, this is disgusting. This is what's wrong with... Don't you have bills to pay? Don't you got mouth? Let me just get into why I'm...
But it doesn't really take that long to leave comments. Again, it doesn't really take that long to leave hurtful comments at people. It just takes a couple of seconds. It's not as if people are kind of not paying their bills by making comments. Again, it's just I don't know, man. I just don't think this attitude works. If anything, it just encourages people to say more mean things. It does have the opposite effect. Either you ignore it and try and play dumb and kind of have the stiff upper lip and try and keep your head up, or like I said, you do a Joe Rogan approach, have people maybe filter back some things to you, and then you can maybe from a distance hear what people are saying, criticisms or whatnot, agree or disagree, and just move on. That's basically what you do. Next slide.
To feed, including your own. Don't you have a life to live? Don't you want to fall in love and make friends? And don't you got shit to do? Go read the news, bitch, before I read you, ho. The fuck? Why are you worried about me? And it be the same motherfuckers doing the most disgusting shit. Like, you're disgusting, bitch. Calling me disgusting, bitch.
I wonder who called it disgusting. I didn't see no one call it disgusting. I just saw people having a really passionate debate about why some people are saying... Yeah, what I heard for the most part is people defending their right to say maybe she doesn't look that great in that outfit because she's fat, and maybe Rihanna looks that great in that outfit because she's not. And we should be able to say that. But it's okay if you're bigger, you want to wear it. But let's be honest and say one person clearly looks better than the other just because of their body size. Not because of their attractiveness, just because of their body size. It lends better to wear that sort of outfits. It is what it is. But maybe in the future we could get to a point where that's not a thing. But unfortunately, again, it's mostly because of women as well. When it comes to beauty standards and it comes to magazines and shit, when it comes to fashion style, the only people that are really going to be taking the piss out of you, those kind of things, are going to be other women. It's not going to be men. Men don't really give a shit. There's men out there that will probably tear and, would probably take Lizzo down in a heartbeat, right? They'd be kind of queuing up and gagging to be her date or to be in a relationship with her or to hook up, whatever, right? I'm sure she's perfectly fine in that regard. So it's never really a men issue for the most part. Yes, there's some men who are not going to be interested in her because of her size, but for the most part, she's probably got a pretty decent amount of guys trying to hit her up at this very moment. But it's just a case of, like, our eyes don't lie. We know what we see. We know what we see when you see these pictures. We see, one person looking like that, and we see another person looking like that. It just is what it is. Like, let's not deny the facts.
To feed, including your own. Don't you have a life to live? Don't you want to fall in love and make friends? And boy, don't you got shit people to could do? Just wear what they read want. The news, bitch.
Oh, come on.
Before I read you, ho.
Okay, let's move.
The fuck? Why are you worried about me? And it be the same other...
So that's the thing. You can't pick and choose what people worry about you for. Do you want them to worry about you for your antics or for your music? And if you say don't worry about me, then they will stop worrying about you and your music sales will flop, and then you have to ramp up the antics again, which you hate because it brings about all this negative attention. So you can't pick and choose.
Fuck is doing the most disgusting shit. Like,
anyway, let's move on. What's this one say?
Boy, where people could just wear what they want, and there wasn't a motherfucking parade or conversation or commentary about it. And I'm not even mad. I'm just drunk and passionate, because at the end of the day, this is not about me. And I just want to continue. Every time I speak my mind, people are always like, Lizzo's upset because people are mean to her. Bitch, I don't give a fuck if you mean to me. I'm rich, bitch, and I'm beautiful, and I have a beautiful family. Like, I'm good. I got friends who love me. I got an inner circle tighter than my motherfucking pussy, bitch. You think I'm worried about y'all? I'm not worried about y'all. I do this because y'all continually disrespect human beings like it's a sport, like it's something to do. Y'all disrespect people like it's like fucking changing your outfit. You disrespect people like it's ordering a...
There is something to be said about these new age pop stars and celebrities who clearly, for whatever reason, cannot handle the scrutiny that comes with putting yourself in front of people in the way that they do. And it's something that always kind of surprises me, because you would have thought with the years that people have spent on social media, especially people that are kind of like social media native, that you would be a little bit more attuned and adept and understanding that people just say wild shit online. Most of the time they don't mean it. They just say it just to get a reaction, just to get the like. Especially now on Instagram, there's an option to like comments, so maybe they're trying to do that. They're trying to game the system and just say the most controversial things. People can like their comment or engage in it to get more followers, to get your attention, so you mention them on the stream so they can clip it, send it to their friends. There's so many weird things going on. But from the clip I remember seeing of like a Charlie D'Amelio, the really popular girl on TikTok, she has a reality TV show and she was crying about all the trolls and stuff, attacking her on the app and really shaking and complaining, and her parents were basically, awkwardly sitting there hoping that she didn't want to quit because her basically career is paying for their entire lives. But it surprised me because I was thinking, shouldn't somebody at 16 years of age be a lot more adept at dealing with trolls online? Because effectively everybody in their life is a troll. They know what trolls are. They do troll things online. They're on message boards. They're on this, they're on that. Don't you think you'd be a little bit more adept to it? But for whatever reason, this newer generation, or younger or older, Lizzo's a bit older, of course, they just don't seem to be able to hack it. They just crumble at every single turning point, and it seems to me like I don't know, and it's just odd. I just find it really odd. That's the thing I find about it. It's just strange. And then, of course, towards the end, she then goes on to reveal her bum, which
it's none of your business.
I'm not going to show.
But work.
Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. Lizzo seems unhappy with people criticizing her for her weight. She doesn't like the attention that she gets when she posts, those crazy things online and shit. But she does it anyway. I don't know, man. The girl's a weirdo, man. She can sing her heart out. She can obviously play instruments, release more music, stop all the antics, and maybe all the hate will stop too, because it feels like maybe I say people are concentrating on because anything you put out there. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm bloody wrong. But I think that might be it, actually. I don't know how long of this show I've actually done already. I think that might be it. Let's check the time here. Yeah, 1 hour. It's 1 hour already, man. Let's end it right there. Thanks so much for tuning in. The Agostinho Show, episode number 508, I think. It's been a pleasure to have your company, of course. Make sure you smash the like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts, feelings, suggestions. I'll be greatly appreciative of that. And I'll see you guys again on the other side for more coming at you very soon. But until then, take care, be safe. Peace.